Hey folks, this is Picohan on the North American server, and this is the Tier 8 British battleship, the Monarch. The map is Estuary. It's a standard battle, and shoutouts to Kronos 1 in the Massachusetts and Nordite in the Otago. Amazingly, this is a Tier 8 game, which is great because the Monarch is not really that good. This is basically the same hull as the King George, with a little bit more armor and 15-inch guns, as opposed to the King George's 14. The problem is, the shells in these guns are the same as those in the Queen Elizabeth, which were already underwhelming at Tier 6, and so here you've got one more barrel at Tier 8. Of course, the accuracy is also not that good, and it's like, with the Queen Elizabeth, I can say you mostly shoot AP. With the King George, I can say, okay, you mostly shoot HE. But with the Monarch, both shell types are pretty bad, so you really have to be situational, I think, about which one you use, and that makes using this ship all the more difficult. One thing the Monarch does have going for it is the concealment, which is very good at 10.8. You can do some stupid things with this, like cap, but for the most part it doesn't synergize with another attribute of the ship, which is the fast gun reload. The fast gun reload means that you will only be out of gun bloom for a couple seconds every salvo, which in practice that makes the concealment hard to use. Of course, you can use it for disengaging, but generally I like to keep firing on cooldown with the battleship, so yeah, there's that. And it's not like you can easily set up for dev strikes because the AP is so inaccurate with such little penetration. So here in this game, we went to the west flank, tried to dev strike the DeGrasse, but everything was an island shot. I don't like this side of this map because the two island chains basically dictate the range of engagement. If both teams camp those islands, like, okay, those are decent ranges, but if one team starts kiting away, it's very hard to follow up because you don't want to get caught in front of those islands because it's very hard to disengage. Like, this Charles is kind of getting screwed now because he went in front of the islands. This gap is a nice place to camp, though, if the enemy is pushing, because you are naturally angled fairly well, and it's hard for destroyers to get torps through there. We held the fire for the Charles to see if he'd give a better angle, but he took so much damage before we fired that that's basically kill secure number 1. Nobody to shoot at now, but also not really any reason to move yet because due to those two suicidal cruisers, we are up 2 ships very early. The Cleveland does show up, but this is a pretty hard shot because of A, the mountains, B, his angle, and I think he's maneuvering a little bit too. But again, fire on cooldown. You'll never hit the shots you don't take. And it actually turns out to be better than I thought. Now, though, Kronos is trying to push the Alabama, who seems like he's overextending a little bit. So I actually do want to move up and try to help him out. So we rotate around this island. I hold my fire for a little bit such that the back gun clears the island, but it's just long enough that the Bama starts turning in, and now it's kind of awkward. I'm waiting for him to turn all the way around, which I anticipate him doing, and we finally unload for an extremely disappointing salvo, and that's pretty much the rub of this whole bad AP situation. Like, maybe I aimed too far forward, or maybe I aimed a little bit too high, but I just feel like with any other battleship, that would have done much better damage. So the next cooldown comes up, but the Alabama is strongly angled, so I hold the shot, but unfortunately Kronos gets taken down, and I'm really hoping he turns, but at some point he gets close enough that I said screw it, and we're able to do enough damage, probably to his superstructure, to take him out. But now we're exactly where I said I didn't want to be, which is between these two islands, and we could be getting farmed by this Monarch and Cleveland. So I tried to drop off and go from there, but it looked like the Cleveland was getting to the point that he couldn't shoot me, so I went ahead and fired at the Monarch, and it was a terrible shot. The other Monarch's aim seems to be better than mine, so I don't want to chase that guy. And what I'm going to do is drop off and try to go and ambush the Cleveland or something. In the meantime, a Gneisnow shows up, and it looks like he wants to come toward the west. It also looks like he's stationary, so I'm going to try that shot and start kiting. Again, an extremely mediocre salvo, but as we complete the turn, the Cleveland decides that he wants to show himself, and he gives us enough angle that we can delete him. Shooting at lightly armored cruisers is one area where the short fuse AP actually helps, because you'll overmatch the thin armor, and the short fuse means you are less likely to overpen in those situations as well. So hopefully we were able to save the Farragut here as well, because it looked like the Cleveland was trying to radar him or something. Now that the Cleveland is dead, we are going to go around and try to fight the Gneisenau and the Monarch again. I switched to HE since the AP was really not doing anything for the past couple salvos against these guys. But I went back to AP because the Gneisenau was going broadside, and of course the HE salvo was also crap. Here I was fairly impressed with the turn radius. I didn't think I could make that without doing a 3-point. But look at the HE salvos that this other Monarch is getting. Maybe I need to be shooting HE at the Monarch, regardless of what I'm shooting at the Gneisenau. We do finally land a pretty decent AP salvo, but now these guys are going behind the rocks, so it may be hard to get another shot. The mountain indicator was ticking for the Gneisenau here, but I tried to lob it over the island just to see what I could get. It was pretty mediocre, but of course that's 5,000 more than if we did not take that shot. And now there's really nothing to shoot at for a little bit as we head toward the middle, which is unfortunate because with AR kicking in, our cooldown is going into the lower 20-second range, which is like Scharnhorst territory. But the Gneiss now looks like he's insisting on sailing in a straight line, so maybe we can finish him off as he clears the edge of this island. I think he started turning right before we take this shot, so we only get 5k and Nord's Fire takes him out. I want to shoot at the Gnevny because he's close and he's pretty low, but it doesn't look like he's gonna go through. So we try to look at the Myoko, but he's not a really good shot either. So we turn back to the Monarch, who looks like he's moving slowly, but this guy has been super crafty this whole time. And that shot seemed decent, but nothing hits. I think he was slowing down or something. And that's really annoying. And of course this guy does damage to us, even though we were pretty strongly angled, and he incapacitates a gun to boot. At this point, I was annoyed enough that I decided not to fire, at least for this cooldown, and see if we can get a better opportunity when the broken gun comes back online. He started moving again, and I felt like I could judge his speed better, so I took a shot with the single turret, and of course it was crap. I'm moving toward this island and slowing down to shield myself from the ships in the south while I work on this guy exclusively. I popped the fighter so I could see what the Gnevny is doing. I don't want to go around the corner until I know that he's not lying in ambush for me. In the meantime, still shooting AP against the Monarch and still not doing very well. But I think the Monarch is under fire from other ships as well, and he pulls behind an island and I drop off. In the meantime, the Gnevny shows himself far in the south, so I decide that I can pull forward and try to help out our Farragut. The Farragut misses his torps here, and I actually don't think I aimed that well, but the crappy dispersion means that a shell did find its way in, and we kill secured the Gnevny. The Monarch turned around, which was kinda surprising to me, but I decided that I'm tired of shooting at that guy, and I would rather work on the Myoko, who I could kill with just one good salvo. Unfortunately, he turned out, and that was not it. And of course, the Monarch sets us on fire. Myoko does seem to be turning back in, and as we line up the shot, I suddenly notice that he's slowing down. I pull in the shot, and it looks good. So we secure the Kraken with a mere 80,000 damage in this tier 8 game. So with the Myoko gone, what else is there to do but ram my nemesis, the other Monarch? One thing to point out here is that we both have the Monarch's anniversary camo, which was given out or earnable during the 2017 anniversary event, though it's not very good because it only gives 50% extra Captain XP. Either way, it looks like the other Monarch wants to ram as well, and that gives us 120,000 damage and 6 kills. So that's pretty much the end of the game as well. The other NC goes down shortly, so let's look at the results here. And there's nothing really impressive here besides the 6 kills. The 120,000 damage, which should really be more like 80,000 damage, is not impressive at all. Maybe in retrospect, I should have shot more HE, especially at the enemy Monarch. I bet it's covered in some armor thickness that makes other Monarch HE very good. But overall, you saw the general underwhelming nature of the salvos. And that's pretty much it for this replay, so have a nice day.